What's up, guys? Thanks for checking in. Back at it again. It's another episode of The Daily Diamond with me, Alex Diamonds.
What's up? How are you?
Good. You?
Good. I'm
This
good.
is
I'm
awesome.
Good. Thank you.
I just like seeing you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. We have a great history. We'll chat on that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But what I like to say is I'm Alex with The Daily Diamond, episode number 14, 15, or 16. This is my beautiful friend Steve. Steve, why don't you tell the people who might not know you who you are, what you do?
Steve McCartha. I own a couple businesses here in Visalia, or partners of businesses here in Visalia, one being Pacific Employers. I think it's the number one HR company in Visalia, Central Valley kind of thing. And then True Legacy Consulting, which kind of started it all 2013.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm a dad of two. Elliot and Daniel. I've been married for 20 years to my high school sweetheart.
Okay.
That ain't a bad deal.
Yeah.
Man, she's still way too good looking for me, man.
I
I'm trying to keep up.
I know the mags are pretty good looking yourself. Funny story. When I first moved to Visalia, I rented a home after a couple months of living with my in-laws. Yeah, I'm not afraid to tell it. Ended up renting a little house in Visalia, and who ended up being the landlord was none other than my man right here, Steve McCartha. So our universes collided right when we got into Visalia, pretty much, and we've always just kind of, actually, I'm blessed to say that he's always kind of just stayed active in my life, you know, so I appreciate
I'm gonna let you
for
go,
that.
man.
I
You
appreciate
can't shake
for that.
me. You can't shake me.
Like
You're
you
cool,
said
dude.
earlier, I'll
Yeah,
let you.
out of all the renters we had in that house, I was like, I got the best one was the first one,
Yeah.
which was you guys.
And
I'm
short
like,
term,
man,
and still kept a good relationship.
That's true. That's true. See what happens when you pay your rent? You can keep that relationship if you pay your rent. I even like the motorcycle in the garage. I always just wanted to see him because he had a motorcycle in the garage.
Awesome. I love it. All right, so I would love to dive into your background. It's always been super interesting and intriguing to me. I love your military background, so please go ahead and just fill us in on your little, where are you from? And
Oh, man.
I know it's a longer story.
Yeah, I'll give you the short edition. We try to keep these to what, 5?
Editing, we get it.
Yeah. The short rendition. Put the milkshake joke. That's way better. Grew up in Hanford, Lemoore. Joined the military in 1999. United States Air Force from 99 to 09. I did military security forces, which is basically kind of like infantry for the Air Force. I did a lot of cool stuff, though. I did space systems at Vandenberg. I did some presidential support for Bill Clinton and Al Gore.
Yeah.
I do all kinds of cool stuff, man.
Cool.
Top secret squirrel stuff. It was awesome. It was a good 6 years there at Vandenberg. Started my marriage with my wife in 2000. Again, high school sweetheart. And then 2005, 6, I came to Visalia as the Air Force recruiter.
Okay.
And so I was the Air Force recruiter here for 4 years. Did exceptionally well. Was supposed to stay in. Son was born. And then military's like, hey, you're going to Afghanistan for a year.
Oh.
Contract's up, so I can either go to Afghanistan or get out.
Yeah.
Decided to get out. Couldn't explain, the deployment to my newborn son. Wife understood, but yeah, that's a hard conversation, like skip out on all that stuff. Mad props to anybody that does, but
Sure.
I was no longer willing to meet the needs of the military.
Yeah.
Got out, took a couple 9-to-5 jobs, just wasn't happy or content. One of my supervisors at one of my jobs, I was joking with her, I was like, hey, how do I get your job? She's like, you need an education to get my job. I was like, all right, fine, let's go. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
How do I get your job? Go get your degree. Went to FPU for 2 years, graduated in 2013, and then that's kind of what started all of this. I took a company as a project from 612,000, 1.2 million in 9 months. We just added systems and people, and I put everything that I learned in my education into the company. Yeah, into ACT. Everybody was shocked, like, oh, holy crap, this works. All my teachers like, this works? So I ended up hiring one of my professors.
Oh my God.
And started True Legacy
amazing.
Consulting. And so we've done it probably about 15, 20 times now. And then a couple years ago, I decided, you know what, I love flipping companies for other people. I still do it part-time, but I needed to do it for myself, right? There's a bunch of millionaires out there now because of everything that we did But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, I need to do this for myself.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started investing everything that we had made from the consulting firm into the next step, which was the HR, and then soon to be safety and soon to be payroll and so forth and so on. So I'm still consulting. That's the cool part about this is I don't do the HR stuff. I do some of the trainings and that kind of stuff, but I don't do the HR stuff, which I'm not that good at.
Okay.
Right?
So
like I just handle the business.
Yes. The relationships.
Yeah.
And still hands on in the
absolutely.
Why leave it, right?
Yeah. No. It's perfect. And
get good people to do things that you're not good at, so that you can do what you're good at.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
and then
it.
multiply, right?
Yeah. No, I know what I'm not good at, and I don't want to do that. And
knowing your strengths is a strength, and knowing your weaknesses is sometimes almost a better strength, right?
Amen. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Cool.
Is that short enough?
That was actually super short for how old you are. I mean, how many things you've done? How experienced? I get to poke fun. He's like a couple years older than me. Barely, if that.
And that's how you lose interviews.
See you next week. Let's jump right into more of you.
Oh, gosh.
What are some of your favorite spots in the city?
Oh, man. One, I love Visalia. I absolutely love it. It's been my favorite town that I've lived in. We lived on the coast in San Maria and Lompoc, and like that was cool, right?
Yeah.
Like live on the coast. But man, I love this city because I think I'm more involved in it than I ever have been. Like I'm president of Rotary, Visalia County Center Rotary. If that gets deleted, that's going to cost me a lot of money, so don't put that on Be Real. You know.
Want that on, or you don't want that on? Clarify.
I want that on. I want that on.
Okay, straight up. I'm like, what does that mean?
You got to announce it.
I don't want to mess up here.
You got to say it. Like even today, we're going to Kauai Delta. We're feeding all the staff at Kauai Delta, and we are going to go around the hospital with signs of support and love.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Like that's what I'm about, man.
Yeah.
This community. You know, there's a couple restaurant spots. Sushi Ku's probably my favorite.
Okay, that keeps popping up. Yeah, I'm embarrassed I haven't even been there yet.
I love that place.
Okay,
That place is awesome. One of the other places that I like Phillies, the cheesesteaks. If I'm having a cheap day, that's the go-to.
Yeah.
There's a
staple.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to hide over there once a week. But yeah, like I said, I've been loving. What's the new place? At the top of the hotel.
Elderwood.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah.
If you're looking to drop some dough, I mean,
but I like to say a big city feel right here in town, which is we've been dying for, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I
don't know. I mean, you got so much diversity. I think we have the best downtown I've ever been to.
Okay.
I really don't, not like I go to a ton of other people's downtown, but I love our downtown.
Yeah.
It feels like Napa. It's super quaint.
Yes.
I don't feel like I know everybody, but you still wave when you go down the street, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of the small town feel, but depends.
Totally. It is very centralized. It's like a lot of business and bustle because I've been there a lot more lately, and it's actually a really cool vibe.
And then you got like the whole like River Park Fresno vibe, more like
towards the
south.
end.
South. So
totally.
it's like, do you want Costco shopping, like mainstream big stuff, big box, or do you want more quaint? Like
True. Yeah.
we have it both.
Yeah.
I love Visalia, man.
That's awesome. We are into all the businesses, which of course are living, that's what you do for a living, but income streams. Also like any side hustles for fun maybe, or also like do you do any kind of investing, day trading, Bitcoin, that kind of stuff?
So, that's a loaded one. You're pretty good at this.
Whatever you enjoy to discuss.
So, I actually work part-time for Titleist, which is a golf company.
Yeah.
I'm one of those has-been golfers. Like, I'm like a 2 handicap that just couldn't make the next level kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Played a couple matches in college and military and that kind of stuff, but I enjoy doing it. And I love Titleist. Like, even my senior pictures have a Titleist hat on, right? So I've been playing their clubs forever.
Yeah.
And so I work for them, I don't know, probably like 10, 15 days a year on the weekend. Like, it's not for money.
Of course, no.
Dude, I love it. Like, I love it. I love hitting somebody.
That is so cool because that's like a huge, that's a huge ego check to some people. But like the way you're saying it, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
Like, that's awesome.
Some people, it's kind of nice that, you know, I don't deem myself as, I deem myself successful in my relationships that I have with people, right?
Yeah.
I don't see success as my financials at the end of the day, right? Honestly.
Yeah.
But people will come up and kind of treat me a little. I'm like, you don't have any idea who your fitter is, man. Like, you need to just relax, have a good time. Like, I'm not here to fit you and have fun. Change your attitude kind of mentality. And it's kind of nice to be in that spot, right? Like, I don't have to deal with the crap. You know, I'll be professional about it.
Of course.
You know, I'm there to provide a service. I love serving people, and I love golf, and I love knowledge, and I love being able to help people. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I get to meet people all over the world.
Yeah.
Relationships. It's like
product knowledge.
Yeah,
for
10 to 20 days a year, and
yeah.
Titleist completely sponsors my bag and all that good stuff.
How
So it's
cool
pretty.
is that?
It's pretty legit.
I mean, like I've been saying, I'm just starting with coffee. Like if somebody like just that coffee every day, and then from there, like I hit up Exotico was one of the places they were like my second episode. Thank you so much. Shout out to you for letting me come out and shoot. They're the high-end supercar rentals out of Fresno.
Oh.
And actually what even made me like them even more was not only do they do the supercar rentals, but they don't just let you come and pick up the car and drive it around, which I've done that out of LA and it's actually a waste of money.
Yeah.
They have 3 scheduled drives. So per month, per your budget, you get like a 50, a 100, or a 150 drive, and they go up to this or they go out to that, and so it's like a specific drive where they know you're gonna get time to use the car.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Instead of just parking it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I drove it in LA. I was like, where do I go? Where do I go? You know? So it was actually like terrible. My wife was like miserable. We ended up taking the car back early and getting like a bigger, more comfortable car for the rest of the time.
Right. Where do I go with it?
So like at the end of the day, I hit him up and was like, hey, how can I come out like maybe once a week or once a month, even if I gotta clean cars or do something to be around it more, because by osmosis, I just want to be around it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Man. So anyways, not to get off on a
tangent. No, we're good. Like, I just talk to you all day.
Thank you.
But yeah, I do side stock trading and that kind of stuff. You know what? I asked a bunch of people from a money standpoint, like, hey, what do you do? That was the one thing that they all had in common. Every single one of them is trading something on the market, right? So
somehow your money has to be. Just the money has to be doing something.
Yeah, and I think that you have to get somebody that you can trust in that area. Like, I have a financial advisor, Eagle Ferreira.
Okay.
True Legacy Financial. Hey, see?
Yes.
True Legacy Consulting, True Legacy Financial, Pacific Employers. It's all together.
Yeah, it's a family.
But yeah, he came. I had some hardship in my life about 4 years ago, and he really stepped up as a brother. And so, not even as a financial advisor, but
just
as a friend. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll memorize these one day.
Yeah.
A time when you failed, but it turned out okay. I feel like we're kind of segueing.
Oh man, I didn't even know. I didn't read.
No, I don't.
Maybe I watched too many episodes. Maybe that's what it is. I think I know the paper more than he does.
Thank you.
I think that, dude, I'm always failing, man. I hate to break it. Like, I'm always failing. I think that that's okay. I think that being humbled in those allow me to learn, right? Like, if you take responsibility even for the things you don't have control over, you ultimately have control over them. And honestly, I kind of live by, like, my saying, you can ask my kids' friends, everywhere. You will always find what you're looking for. Whether it's trouble, whether it's drama, whether it's opportunity, whether it's love, whether it's kindness, whether it's to create turmoil, whether it's, you will find what you're looking for, because that is what's in your heart and that's what's in your head. So I think that, I lost the business 5 years ago. And it just got crazy. Like, it just happened, and I learned a lot from the loss of that company, and that's my only one I've lost. But don't want to make a habit of that. That gets expensive. But at the end of the day, man, is if I can be better than I was yesterday, then I'll all produce better results.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that when you stop living for yourself and you start living for everyone else, I think is when you ultimately kind of see like success and all of that stuff. So I'm not scared to fail. I'm scared to hurt people. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like
100% the people involved,
yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I'm never worried about me failing because, I used to skate back in the day and you fall like 15 million times, but I'm going to land the trick at the end of the day. I promise you, right? Like, I promise you I'll land it at the end.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with life, man. Like, I just don't ever want to hurt somebody else while I'm trying to get us to the next level, right? Like, that's what, and I think it kind of keeps me in check, too.
Yes, yeah, when I left and seeked out, like, my future, a really good piece of advice was, like, just remember, it's okay if you're willing to take on the risk for yourself, but you have a family that you have to provide for as well. And so that's something that definitely like is important because I talk a lot about, you know, taking on risks but I'm not one of those entrepreneur types. Like I say a lot from the top, I'm in the middle of it. So I say like, you know, don't quit your day job, you know, until you have revenue streams built up or until you have a savings account that you can leave for a couple months and make sure you're good to go. I mean, if you're in a bad relationship and you're getting beaten, you need to leave immediately, right?
Yeah.
But if your bills are paid and you're hanging out and you got time to kind of, you know, maybe think about a side hustle, then maybe you should pursue that first, grow that until you know you have a little bit of a cushion to jump out on, okay? So,
see, I'm opposite on that, honestly.
Go for it.
Yeah, right, like, I had 50 grand in the bank and that's what we were going to live off of for like 2 years.
Yeah.
That's what we lived off of for 2 years. I drained my accounts.
Yeah.
But we made it, right?
Yeah, you had this idea. So when you still had, and you used
want
a
to
lot
talk
of
about
for the business.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you have to grind, man. Like,
no,
you
for sure.
literally, like, if you know that your kid ain't gonna eat, like, I tell you what, you want to make 10 phone calls, you know, that's when you have a job and you have security, you'll make 10 phone calls. If you don't have a job or that cushion, you're going to make 500 phone calls. And if you don't have that mentality and that drive, this is rough.
You probably shouldn't be in business in the first place.
Rough. It's funny because we run a little mini Shark Tank from time to time and we invest in companies.
Yeah.
It's super, I love it. It's probably one of my favorite things that we do.
Yeah.
And these guys and gals will come up to us and they'll be like, oh yeah, I got this idea. And I can break that thing down on a board. I'll be like, nah, no. Like, I'm sitting there shooting shotguns in their dreams, right? Like, that's kind of hard, but it's what they're to do, right? Like, you watch Shark Tank, like, that's what you're there to do, right? Even as a consultant, that's what you're kind of there to do.
Yes.
Break down, build up.
Yes.
Not
just throw shit, but like, you know, build a wall.
It's just like, man, you done? Had enough? At the end of the day, right? Like, it doesn't come down to the financials. It comes down to drive. Like, if you have the drive, if you have the wherewithal, like, most people don't realize. If you're a business owner, you completely understand. Dude, I do financials from like 8 to 10 at night. Or 10 to 12 at night. Like, it doesn't, you're not 8 to 5 anymore, you're 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you go to sleep, you should have a pencil and pad by your bed because you're going to need it. It's just constantly, ADHD, me too, but I won't sleep. But at the end of the day, it's drive, right? Like, so I can tell you it's not going to work on paper, but I didn't know that you're willing to make 500 phone calls a day. Well, it might work if you're willing to do that.
For sure.
So I think drive can supersede a lot of stuff. Is it still the best idea? Is it long term? Can you do that for 50 years? Like construction guys, like they're burning out at 50 because their bodies are beat up.
Yeah.
Same thing with an entrepreneur. You have to get smarter in some part of that process, right?
Sure.
Once you do that, easy peasy.
Well, I love that. I love that back and forth too. That's what this is all about. The questions are just starters. So, other than golf and businesses, what are some of your passions or hobbies, and how do you decide between? Or when do you see one grow to another is what I've heard a lot.
What do you mean?
So, like, let's say golf, right? Golf used to be a passion, but essentially it could still be a passion.
Yeah.
What's a hobby? Maybe you like enjoy like RC cars on the side on the weekend.
Yeah.
But then like also business a lot of the people who are in this are entrepreneurs and
Yes.
business, work, and hustle is their passion.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I get to play at work for most of the day. Right there's crap I do not want to do and I have to do. But
See,
right,
yeah.
but I mean that's with anything and everything. I don't know, man. I'm extremely blessed. We're extremely blessed to have the companies and to be able to go home and have the flexibility. I love working hard too, right? Like
Yeah.
I would say like I don't know, man. Playing with my kids. I love playing frisbee with them. I love going outside. They're rollerblading, and like that was like a huge passion for me. Like back in the day, huge.
Yes.
Like inline vert and like X Games and all that crap.
Of course.
It's cool to get a rollerblade with them and hang out with them. I don't know, man. I do have a nerdy hobby. Like super nerdy. You ready?
Uh-oh.
This is mind-blowing nerdy hobby. Ready? Fish tanks.
Okay.
I have a 150-gallon saltwater fish tank in my house, like the little Nemos, the whole 9 yards. I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was a kid.
There you go. That's awesome.
And I love, I'm not, my mind doesn't think like that. I think I have more of a creative mind than I do an analytical mind.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, you don't see the whiteboard. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. But I get it.
Right, and so I'm
That's where you get to grow that.
Yeah, chemistry and
Yeah.
it challenges me.
Yes.
And it's actually super soothing. I spent an hour and a half cleaning my tank last night and just chilling. Kids are in bed, I'm sitting there scrubbing it down.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting back and enjoying it. I put some tunes on. And I love my stinking little fish tank.
That's super important. I love that you got there. See, it breaks you into a different mindset again.
Yeah, I'm like, man, what what is the side
And
nerdy obsession?
For those of you who don't know, I grew up with family that had a saltwater fish tank. They're intensely hard to maintain the startup. Once you get it down, you know what you're doing, but it's literally it's like watching science.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, the chemical
Yeah.
compounds and buffering, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose half your viewers right
That's
now.
all
That's
right.
why
We're gonna
we're gonna go from 5 to 2.
Audio edit right there, and it's called a spike. I'm learning.
Hey, have fun with this, by the way. There's too much A-rail on this.
Right. Thank you. We'll use this to maybe make 2 episodes out of it.
Yeah, nice.
It'll be my second episode, just based off the first episode.
Yeah, we could do a Star Wars trilogy kind of thing.
For sure.
Might be better than Star Wars. Need a
Do
little
it backwards,
baby or something.
forwards. Your go-to splurge. Golf stuff on your kids. You have a Ferrari somewhere you didn't tell anybody about.
Yeah, right. Go to splurge, probably travel,
Okay.
trips.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of frugal. I'm like,
That's good.
no. And my wife grew up extremely poor, and so there's still that in the back of our heads, right?
Yeah.
Which I think keeps us square, right?
Realistic.
And we don't take a lot from the company so that the company can thrive,
Yes.
right? Put the money back in the company, right?
Yes.
Take what you need,
Mm-hmm.
right? Create a budget like you're an employee, and then if you put back $100,000 or $200,000 back into your business, oh my gosh, right? Put that into marketing, see what happens, right?
Yes. I mean, travel in general, being able to go
Yeah,
out, have
but-
excursions.
But with travel, it's so I don't even care, man. If it's a trip, it's
Even
I don't even I'll spend 10% of my income a year on travel.
yeah.
We like to go to Hawaii, we like to go to Germany, but I also drive an '07 Tacoma
I
with
love-
180,000 miles on it, right?
I love that.
I can drive what I want to drive, but that thing's been paid off since day one. Same with my wife's car, right? So
Yeah.
some
All about
people have-
choices, because
Yeah.
again, I got harped on again just today. You talk about your van, but not your Tesla. I'm like, dude, the Tesla's my wife. She has a job. She has a steady income. She pays her bills. It's her car. She does that. I drive my kid to school every day in the Scoops minivan because it's putting money back into the business.
Right. No, that's exactly it.
Separate things.
Wife drives a Lexus. I drive right.
Separate things.
And besides, I hate to put it, if your wife is hot, you will know.
Separate things. This might be
Hey, expensive.
This might be real. Alright.
Definitely put that.
Just trying to teach, man. You gotta give both sides.
Yeah,
man.
no, that's true.
Divide that payment by 2. That's why.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good math.
I only got 1.
But yeah, so I have no problem dropping money on you.
Certain things for
Travel.
certain
People. Yeah, who cares? Like,
what I do and what he does is completely different, and that's a blessing.
yeah. At the same day, I bet you we have the same goal though.
To provide for our families.
Make the world a better place.
Be good people. It's like
Love.
super. Oh, love. I love love. So let's jump into love. I'll skip a couple things. And
Alright.
Philanthropy. What do you guys do? Because I know you just said earlier. Again, you just steal all my questions.
Oh man, that's what happens when you watch a show.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Plug.
Plug, I got you. I feel like I should have interviewed him. He's far more interesting. Have you ever seen this dude without a mask on?
That's why I bought my own damn camera.
Right, you get to choose the reel. All right, so what do you want me to expand on?
I mean, Rotary is obviously a big, huge thing, but just like a little portion of what what can the people do to get involved? How about that? Since you are so involved.
Yeah, like Rotary is huge. It's so I kind of try to split up my time. So I'm involved in my church. Well, before the whole COVID thing, like,
Yeah.
The church and my spiritual, we go to Rise Church over off of Caldwell and Acres in Visalia. I love the church. It's non-denomination. My faith is extremely important to me, and it's my foundation. It's what I love. It's who I am. That's, I think getting involved in, if you are spiritual, in your spiritual organization, whatever that might be. And then the other thing is Rotary, pick a secular, right? Like if you are super involved in your church, and that's great, but how are you reaching out to other people? How are you reaching out to people outside of your circle? How are you blessing others that don't see you on the daily? I mean, that's cool to bless those who see you, but like, how are you outreaching to the rest of the community? When was the last time you gave something to someone else just to give it to them? And I'm not talking about tipping the homeless guys on the corner, because that's probably not the best idea, but I'm talking about like going out there and feeding some people. I'm talking about going out there and donating maybe some money to some kids that are less fortunate with grants that want to go to college. How about donate some laptops, or mix it up a little bit.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I like Rotary. I'm so busy with everything else, right? Like I love Rotary and I love my church. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
I would say those are the two things, and then just help people. I think that I really believe that the world is missing a lot of some of the older cool stuff, like opening a door for a lady. I think that is incredibly important.
Slowing down.
I
People
think,
are walking across the street.
Yeah, slowing down. Yeah, don't hit the gas. I think it's.
I love that. I love how big and how small that got too. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
I think that buying a meal for somebody, paying it forward like that most of it's I have this talk with my kids all the time. I said most of your blessings in life are not going to be from you buying something. It's going to be you buying something for someone else, or you doing something for someone else. It's never about what you got, right?
Damn.
So sorry, got deep on A-rail.
Yeah, that's what's up. I mean, posted that picture the other day, and it's all the stuff stacked up: the car, the home, the computer, the phone, and
stuff.
The thinker's still sitting on top, all depressed, and I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there, and that's, again, today is heavy on my heart. Sorry to keep hitting the point, but it's just been there, done that, and it's a hard life and a hard lifestyle to maintain, to always have pressures and goals. Now, like you said, when you're ready to take that dive and make that risk, you streamline everything because you're giving yourself the best
opportunity
to explode. So
yep, absolutely. Sacrifice is well worth it as long as you truly sacrifice.
What are you sacrificing?
I always ask people when I hire them or I'm about to work with them in any sort of facet, whether
even help them. Like be hired by them.
Well, yeah, that's true
right?
too.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, I ask people all the time, what's more important, time or money? And the answer is completely okay. But I need to know how to reward you too, right? Like if I'm hiring you, do you want a day off or do you want me to bonus you, right? Because sometimes I can't do both, right?
It's powerful too, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we're working 40, 50 hour weeks, right? Like, do you want more time off or do you want more money in your pocket? Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's important to you? And it doesn't matter what's important to you. If that's what's important to you, then it's my job to provide it.
And stages of life too, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you
true.
know, you might
No,
be
it's
about
different,
money
right?
right now, and you might later change.
Well, we're probably opposite. I wish I had a little bit more time on my hands, which you wish you had a little bit like flip it, right?
I
Like,
mean, it is what it is because where we're at, you know.
yeah. Well,
There's
and when I called and talked to you the other day,
Yes.
I loved, like, I always felt like you belong in this area. Like,
Oh, wow, thank you for
belong
saying that.
in this arena. You belong. You're so creative. You're so genuine. You're so loving. I always felt like it was okay that you had a 9 to 5 because that's how you provided for your family, but I never felt like that was where you belonged. Does that make sense?
For sure.
It's
My
like,
heart feels that.
you know,
For sure, yeah.
it's like the zebra in the horse pen, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, I can see it's a horse, but it's different, right? Like, it's a way cooler horse, right? Like, that belongs in, you know, its own pen or like playing with other people that are super creative, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's different. It's definitely different.
right.
It might not be the fastest, but it's cool.
Hey, you liked the zebra analogy. That's perfect, right?
Way
Like,
better than the elephant in the room. I thought that's where you were going.
I called you the zebra.
I liked it. I liked it. So actually, that takes me into if you could give your younger self a couple tips, what would they be? You already were like right there, anyways.
yeah,
Again, like I said.
it's gonna be okay. My niece asked me that the other day.
Mhm.
Like that question, she's like, what could you tell yourself? It's all gonna be okay. I think that I spent a lot of time worrying and contemplating and like just over analyzing the living crap out of things, and it really like sinks my heart sometimes.
Ooh, yeah.
Especially if I get negative feedback, dude, that's like 3 nights in
No,
right? Like,
yeah.
how can I possibly get better? Like, how, you know, I'm sure God appreciates it because I just pray, right? Like, he's like, all right, attaboy. But at the end of the day, man, it all works out. Like, even if I were to lose this all tomorrow, Alex, I'm okay with rebuilding it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was made, I really feel like, you know, it took me 35 years, 32 years or whatever to figure out what I was made for.
That's powerful.
And, you know, there's people that go around putting together Legos, there's people that go around tearing down Legos, right? Like, there's always that kid in the preschool class like tearing it. And you're like, and when you're the Lego builder, you go around like, hey, leave my Legos alone. Leave them alone. Hey, these are mine, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the kid gets a hold of them, and I'm so thankful. What a country song? I don't know, maybe Garth Brooks or whatever. Like, thank God for the unanswered prayers, right? Like,
Yeah.
I had a CEO position. I had like all these things in life, and like going through depression 3 years ago, like it just sunk all those ships. And I'm like, okay, everything sunk. What do you want me to do? Thanks, Siri. It
Not
sunk
the
all
first
my
time.
ships, right? Like, good job, Siri. You know, it sunk all these ships that I thought were going to ride to the promised land and bless
For
others
sure.
and all this other stuff.
Taking
And
the
then-
team with you.
yeah, and then all of a sudden this pops up. I'm like, no way. Like, there's
Not
no
me.
way this
Oh.
could be available for me. And then my business partner, Tiffany Harris, she is so phenomenal. And she has like the heart of gold, and she loves HR. I'm like, oh man, that's perfect. I'll deal with the business, you deal with the HR. But this would have never came to fruition if I had had those other things, right? Like God took all those other things away.
Yes.
And I was like, and then all of a sudden, it's like, I had a greater plan for you.
Yeah.
So my advice to myself is, even today, and as a young man, it's all gonna work out, man. I'll share this last thing, and I know we're like 45,000 minutes over. I always ask people, and I'm gonna ask you right now.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, well, I mean, I cannot say Aladdin. I know it's kind of racial, but
Why?
So, like, growing up, obviously we were a heavy Disney family, like most, especially
Yeah.
I was born in '85, so that can kind of put you in the timeline of like age
I feel
group.
old right now.
Stop. Age is just a mindset. If you see this guy in the street, you think he's in the teens. So Aladdin just hit at a time where they kind of was still old enough and mature enough to hold my attention.
Yeah.
And it was somebody I could relate to. It was the first person I ever saw on screen that was kind of like the scrappy underdog.
Yeah.
Not only Middle Eastern,
Amen.
but then when he got dressed up, it was just about his clothes. And
How powerful.
at the end of the day, it wasn't about the clothes. It was about the heart. So,
How,
you know. And the genie, now that I realized more than ever, he's just a champion, which you need champions in your life.
Yeah.
You need mentors,
Dude.
you need champions.
So how powerful is that? Like, all these employers, I chomp on all these employers. If you're an employer, listen to me. Don't sit there and ask people what their greatest strength or weakness is. You're asking bogus questions that everybody can get around because they've been trained to get around it. Ask true questions that you can find out what somebody's heart is, because if you hire their heart, the skill will come. If you hire their skill and they have no heart, you're going to be in court.
Wow.
So I ask
Man.
that on every single interview I ever do.
That's
Because
awesome.
it was the biggest questions that I figured out for myself was mine's sword and stone.
Please, yeah. Dude, I know that.
So
Yeah.
sword and stone, right? This goofy kid, right?
Yeah.
I've always felt like that goofy kid. I've always felt like that kid in high school. I wasn't popular then. I'm not popular now. Like, everywhere I go, I want to be popular and I want to be loved, right? And it never turns out that way for me because I'm always still the goofy kid inside that likes to laugh and joke, and I don't care what people think to a certain extent, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and one day, 2012, 13, right at the beginning, I pulled that sword out of that stone, man. And I went from that goofy kid that nobody listened to, nobody cared about, nobody, completely discarded. The only people that saw it in me was my wife, right? And a couple select friends.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I pull this sword and everybody's like, oh my gosh, he knows. And then I'm doing consulting in like all parts of the world, and LA and Monsanto and Missouri. Like, all of a sudden, like, how the heck, right?
Yeah.
I pulled the sword from the stone, and now I'm like the consultant I have. Not in the Central Valley, but everywhere. Not here.
After that interview, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right?
Worldwide, baby.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
Peru,
why you want to be the biggest in the city? You know, you should always put the world.
Yeah,
you know?
well, yeah, I know. Yeah, Steve Jobs said the universe, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, you
there
gotta
you
shoot
go.
big, right?
100%.
So for me, that's my number one question, and I usually determine on if I'm gonna hire somebody or not based on that question.
That's awesome, man.
It's crazy, right? Like, all these things that you can tell me about, but people get real when you ask them. They're like, "Oh, I don't watch Disney." Fine. What's your favorite movie?
Yeah.
Like, what's a bowl of cereal that you like, and then what's one that represents your personality, right?
Interesting.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I love
They're
it.
really close, but I think that we do such a horrible job of being superficial and just asking these questions.
That we've been taught and passed down and move on.
Yep.
And so many people fall through the blocks of that system.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, with millennials, everybody complains about millennials. Well, they're probably the smartest generation we've ever had. Like, they're more creative than we've ever had. It's just we're so stuck in our older ways that we're too blind to sometimes see the opportunities or what other people possess, right?
Yeah, or scared.
Yeah, or scared.
Nervous.
Fear controls all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, hey, if you look at a millennial, you're like, all right, creativity, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do, right? Like, ask them those questions in the interview.
That's awesome. They're literally the ones creating, that have been consecutively creating literally something from nothing. It used to be like, okay, you plant a seed and you grow a tree.
Yeah.
You cut that tree down and you make a building.
Yeah.
It creates jobs. These children, kids, smart people, men like Steve Jobs and on trickling down,
Yeah.
are the minds and the things they're creating are mind blowing. Like
Unfathomable.
3D printing is like one of the, to me,
Yeah. It's
again,
booming.
and 3D being in that Oculus, I haven't even gone in it yet because I'm afraid I won't get out, because I mean, who doesn't want to like experience a whole other world for free, right? No risk, no reward. I feel
That's a different Disney movie.
I feel like I might not come
world.
back. Yeah, what was oh my goodness. All right, man. Well, I thank you so much for
Appreciate
your time, Steve. What amazing questions and answers, and
Had fun, man.
I can honestly tell, like,
This is the conversation we would have had without you
for sure,
or with you.
for sure.
Like,
for
honestly,
sure.
this was. the conversation I wanted to have. This was the conversation, and you know, if you guys aren't watching and following Alex, then shame on you.
Oh,
Shame on you.
Thank you, man.
This guy has more spirit in his left finger than most people do in their whole entire life. So watch him, support him. If you know him, if you love him, follow him, love on him, give it back, man.
Thank you.
He's
guys.
looking for an opportunity. Give him one. This guy has more hunger than anybody I've ever seen.
Thank you. Thanks, my man. I appreciate it.